The roots of this thing began in 1962 with a guy called Mr. Leffler. He was a teacher here, iconic teacher, and J.F. Kennedy actually was worried about the Americans. He thought they were getting very soft, and he challenged them to do 50-mile walks. And Mark Leffler heard about this, and he told us kids in class about this, and we thought, hey, this is brilliant, man. We'd love to do this ourselves.
I always wanted to do it and achieve it. The first time was that was the worst one, first time, difficult. And I think it was my left knee gave up at some stage. And I remember one of the kids coming back who'd finished and said, I've got some chocolate for you, and gave me some chocolate. Oh, it was great.
Okay, so in 1995 when I arrived here, I knew...
How old were you in 95?
Absolutely.
I was 2 years old.
Mr. Drew was 2 years old. Continue, Papa Lots.
We knew absolutely nothing about the long walk. Peter Haverton, the headmaster, said, no, come and teach here. He didn't tell us anything about this long walk that was compulsory, almost compulsory for the staff in those days.
And every year I'd go and watch the long walk or do my little long walk, and I'd see the big kids with their yellow or Lumo bibs, whatever colour you want to call it. And I thought, they are so cool. I just want to do that.
Yeah, well, starting from primary school, doing 25Ks, and then you get an idea of like how hard it actually is. And in the 80s, actually 3 times that plus more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you don't think you can do it, and then you start, and every year is the same. The first 10Ks, your feet are sore, and you're thinking, I don't know if I can finish this, but yeah, you get through somehow.
In 1963, the first event was organised, and I don't know why, but Mike organised the first course. Was from Cato Ridge along the Greytown Road towards Greytown.
But anyway, you arrive here and you left at 3 o'clock in the morning and you went out and through Hillcrest and then up through Shongweni, but then you came back to the school in those days.
Yeah, for me, I came in grade 3 and my whole family have done the long walks. So my mom actually did the long walk, and she was the first girl to complete the 80K long walk back in like 1980s or something. And then my cousins and family members have also completed like 2, 3, some also 5, and it's always given me like an inspiration to try and do it and to also do the 5 times 80K.
Initially there were about 12 boys and 2 staff members, Mr. Leffler and Mr. Copley.
Yeah, so before you do your first one, you aren't actually sure if you can do it, and while you're doing your first one you're almost certain that you can't do it, but once you finished it you realize, hey, I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was, and I can push myself a lot further than I thought I ever could.
Being the cut-off marshal, I became the closing marshal, and I've done that for the last 20 years. So I've been at the back where the true long walkers are, where they're taking 18 hours plus to finish the long walk, and you really see the grit and the determination of those, all shapes and sizes finishing the long walk.
So that was my most iconic walk, the first one, so it was great. It was only me as a pupil who finished the first one.
So 2016, I heard about this long walk. Did my first long walk, still finished in Shongweni. Bonkers is the only word that comes to mind. This thing is bonkers. You get this clown waiting for you at about 48 kilometers, new headmaster in the hood, and he's like, let's go Mr. Wiggett, let's go Mr. Wiggett. That's not what I was thinking when I looked at Mr. Lance in that particular moment. I fell over after 55, and then the following year, in fact, I had a critical moment that year. I was feeling very sorry for myself after 55, and we were in the Shongweni space. That's where we were? I can't remember. I was dazed and confused. But the critical moment for the long walk for me happened about 2 hours while I was still sitting there feeling sorry for myself. A young fella called Trent Trent came walking in to complete his 55. And Trent matriculated from Thomas More last year. And young Trent was probably one of the most inspirational young people that I've ever been gifted with to work in 25 years of teaching. And if you know Trent, you know the inspiration that I'm talking about. And I saw Trent coming in with his dad, with this unadulterated, sheer audacity to complete his 55 kilometers. Let me tell you, there wasn't a dry eye in the place when Trent completed his 55. And I must be honest, I think it was that vision of determination and just sheer courage and character of Trent completing that that drove me the following year, and since then to actually push myself through to do the 80.
And starting from 25, actually 12 I think, 12, 25, going to 55 and then completing 80, and I think telling people, yo, I've done the 80 and seeing their facial expressions, yeah, it's amazing.
I think the biggest benefit is for children that they learn to understand themselves and what they're capable of. The parents, they were, the kids would come in and parents would say, but I never thought they could do anything like that. And they realised that their children are capable of much more than they think they are.
I mean, I thought it was an absolute breeze when I got here. I'd run comrades and I'd done all these things, and I came here with very little training, and you didn't know the up and down of the long walk, and it was an absolute shock to the system.
I don't know how many long walks I've done. I finished for 30 years, consecutive years, and then I was kind of handicapped here. Oh, you must get off now, you're too old, and this kind of thing. And I don't know, maybe you were involved, but somebody had to walk up and they wanted to give me a medal, and I said, no, I haven't finished, I don't want a medal.
For me, it's also the standouts of, the late afternoons. You just have to be there for the end of it, and you just see the unity, the connectedness amongst both students, parents, staff, and that uniqueness about this school is what the Long Walk's all about.
But there's things like you're walking in the dark through Hillcrest or somewhere, it's dark, and the robins, you hear the robins.
I don't know, Bill, but I'm not listening to the birds with the time I'm close to the end. I'm just watching that road and just ploughing on. Just hanging in there by my fingernails.
Actually, it's more of a mental challenge than it is a physical challenge. Some of the smallest people in our grade I've seen finish flying through, whereas other fitter, stronger people haven't been able to because they don't have the mental grit of those who do finish.
I remember walking, and when you think you can't go any further, I always pick up my phone, I'll call my parents, I'll say, I don't think I can go any further, and they say, you can.
Yeah.
So Trenty is a beautiful young man with cerebral palsy, and when you see a boy like Trent diving deep into the spirit that is the long walk, into the spirit that is that conversation that you have with yourself along the long walk, gosh, that's got to inspire you to take another step forward. And it's often that one extra step that you take in life that makes all the difference. That is why Trent, I think, is an example of what makes the long walk so special.
I think my favorite part of the long walk is definitely the whole spirit of when you're starting at 2 a.m, everyone's woken up really early to get to school, and you're all so excited and hyped up, and you can't wait to get going, and you get going, and there's just this big mass of 2,000 people almost going on the route.
Now achieved 21 80s, and I've done 2 55s.
Do the maths here. 48, I think.
When you did your
When I did the first one, yeah.
78 when you did your last
30.
Last 80.
Yeah.
I was 14, my first one, and 70 in my lifetime.
And so you love the laps.
Oh, yeah,
We will
they're
not say
amazing.
that.
The train track's even better.
When I first heard that we were going to do laps, I thought, oh no, this is going to be terrible. But it's actually so nice because you get to see people the whole time, and there's never a point where you're actually alone, and there's always someone there, and you can hear the music on the Savory Field, and it keeps you going, and you just, motivates you.
But you didn't have to do the 80. If your goal was to get to 30, then if you achieved that was great. And if you went further, 35, brilliant, you know. And a lot of people start and just do a short one, but the next one they want to do more, and eventually they want to finish, you know. We rang the bell at the end, remember? And they wanted to go and ring that bell and they finished the 80.
Yeah, it's like really funny to see the older people ring the bell, and I'm like, that's going to be me one day doing that.